Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and we just got back from seeing The Lighthouse. This is the newest film from Robert Eggers, who made waves with The Witch. This one stars Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. It is in black and white. It has a square-ish aspect ratio, and it is batshit. Willem Dafoe plays a longtime lighthouse keeper, and Robert Pattinson is sort of understudy. There's not really a whole lot of plot here. Not much to give away, just a descent into madness, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Hard to see the movie as like about any other thing. I mean, it's kind of like a weird, just like cauldron of dreams and lies and fantasies. These two isolated individuals have to deal with each other and their annoyances. It's bizarro. If you like the trailer for this movie and you're intrigued, then you will probably like the movie. It is, I would say, very entertaining. Not in any conventional way, but like the way that these characters, these actors just face off. The tensions that build between them and the way that they're like let out. It's absolutely so entertaining to behold.
This is just the kind of movie that if you're into film, you're gonna want to see this one. The cinematography is absolutely stunning in this film.
Absolutely.
The black and white is not just like a filter. It is ingrained in this film. The shadows are so deep and so prominent, it's just a little like off from what you normally see. It's almost uncomfortable. The lighting and the framing in this film, it gives it an unease.
You cannot separate this movie from the way that it's shot. And I don't think anybody would disagree with that. There is no other way to shoot this movie. Like, you couldn't do it not in black and white. You couldn't do it without the weird angles, like the weird style of the cinematography, the shadowy lighting, the noir shot compositions. You just wouldn't be able to make this movie. Like, it's a film for filmmaking's sake, almost. But with that in mind, like, I don't know if it's really for any other sake except for like the enjoyment of like the craft that goes into it. I found that the movie didn't give me like more than I expected from watching the trailers for it. It was like, this is exactly what I wanted. This is actually what I got, but it didn't exceed those expectations. I don't think it pushed it to like another level, really.
What surprised me was that the movie was actually weirder than I thought it was going to be. There's not a lot to like hold on to. In fact, I think that the movie is intentionally like impossible to get a grip on. You're in an insane film. Nothing in this movie is grounding you. There's no logic. You're like a little lost the whole time, but you have to kind of embrace that. You have to enjoy it.
I wouldn't say there's like no logic though. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like you'd lose track of what's happening. It doesn't even go to surreal territory that often.
It's not like David Lynch or anything.
No. They're not taking actions that I can follow and say like, oh, I know why they're doing that all the time. I felt like that held me back a little bit from investing in the movie, like particularly in the second half. I'm sort of at a distance from like what these characters are doing after a certain point. And I don't really understand like why they're doing this thing or that thing or like why they want one thing. But of course, this movie is about their insanity and their madness. So I'm not, as a sane thinking person, expecting to watch this movie and understand those things.
Yeah, it's not a movie where you're invested in like the character's journey. Like, it's almost because it's so weird. In order to enjoy it, you just have to withdraw and just take it as it is. I don't know if other people have decided differently, but I kind of concluded that the movie doesn't really mean anything. It just is this incredibly well shot, amazing sounding, amazing acted thing. Pleasurable in that. I have a hard time seeing it as something else. Maybe there's some symbolism here or there, some folklore stuff, but I couldn't really tell you.
I wasn't sure whether the movie was trying to give me that when I left the film. It wasn't so obvious to me that there was nothing that it was like going for, nothing like greater that it was going for. It wasn't trying to be an allegory or anything. I think some people might take that away from the film, but it's not obvious that this is the intention. And I was unsure what to make of it for that reason, but I did also kind of conclude like it works on its own, and I'm not sure that it is going for that, so I'm not holding it against that. I'd be curious to know if anybody has an analysis of this movie that goes beyond like that things happened, that they went insane, but I don't know if it lends it to that. I don't think it does, personally.
As far as Oscars go, I think this movie's getting one nomination. Cinematography. If it don't get cinematography, me gonna riot. You can all join me on the streets. The black and white...
It's gonna get cinematography. They just won't resist it. I would say
Oscar-worthy.
It could be in contention to win if it weren't for there being a one-take Deakins movie. The score in the movie, I also want that to be nominated for an Oscar, but I don't exactly think it will. It doesn't attach to, like, a main theme. It's very atmospheric, and as Oscar expert here pointed out, it's almost like part of the sound design. So it's kind of a hard movie to nominate, but it's like a score that I want to go listen to. Amazing.
I would love to see this movie nominated for sound editing and sound mixing. My goodness, it was such an integral part to this film, which, by the way, is so textured. Wind and rain and like just
it really relies on the sound.
It's the sound and it's the cinematography together just blends. It's a really unique cinematic experience.
Absolutely.
One that I think must be seen, and unlike anything that I've ever seen, maybe.
The last thing I would say is the production design. The entire movie set, the entire lighthouse and the attachment where they live was built.
Insane.
And it seems as though they filmed it in there too instead of in a studio. I would like to confirm that, but it didn't feel as though it was in a studio. It really felt like this was a real location, like a living and breathing location. And I was impressed with how they did the storms, how real those felt. Everything about the lighthouse itself was like immersive. Not for a second did it look like anything was manufactured. It was so real feeling to me.
Yeah, this movie feels like it was just pulled straight from the dirt. Like they found a film reel that was just buried underground. Yeah. I would say that Willem Dafoe also feels like he just came out of the dirt. Willem Dafoe is in it. Where did he go? What did he do to get here in this movie? How did he get this performance? It's incredible. His accent is just so thick, causes ripples throughout the theater.
He's so immediately recognizable as what he is. Like a lighthouse keeper who speaks like a sailor, who's like really raunchy, but just seems to like have all of these like platitudes memorized. Like he just freaking nails the character.
What a joy to watch Willem Dafoe in this movie.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I don't know what else you can even say about it except that he's just like entirely believable as this totally bizarro man.
I can see him getting supporting buzz because this is like a big performance.
He could get nominated, unexpectedly. It's not undeserved. It wouldn't be entirely surprising.
I would like to see it.
Robert Pattinson will not be nominated for this movie. There's just no way. And I don't think he's as good as Willem Dafoe in this movie, where Willem Dafoe, like, you know exactly who he is when he's on the screen, and you know what he's about. Robert Pattinson, I get that his character is less transparent in general, but I couldn't really tell like what the accent was, but I also just like didn't get a sense for like who he was as immediately or like what kind of person. He is very good, and he really nails like some of the more crazy moments. I mean, he's never bad in the movie. I just think Willem Dafoe sort of outshines him.
I do not see this movie getting nominated for Best Picture or Screenplay. Like, no way. It'd be like the weirdest Best Picture nominee ever. Technically, this movie is a marvel. It's incredible to watch the cinematography, the sound design, everything is just so well done. But in terms of like a takeaway from this film, I guess it would just be that it was a crazy, memorable experience. Not even like a portrait of madness, just madness.
I don't feel like I took away that much from the movie personally. So for that reason, it was 8 out of 10.
I'm sort of between an 8 and a 9, buddy.
Yeah, I can tell.
The rule is that we don't give out halves, but we can break the rule sometimes.
Yeah, you can.
So I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Oh my.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Do your best sailor accent in the comments.